Good morning, children. Welcome back to the classes. So, hope all of you have done very well in your pre-midterm examination. And regarding chemistry, I am happy that all of you have done really well. And before going to the continuing with the topic, that is structure of an atom, I would like to tell you that in the previous chapter, when I told you to do the activity, almost all the students have done the activity so well based on the chromatography, and they had sent the experiment which they had conducted at home, and it was really very good. And also you had sent the audio clipping, even it was excellently done well. So continue with your experiments, and you can send the pictures and audio clipping of the experiments which you are doing at home. Now let's continue with the chapter, that is structure of the atom, that is chapter number 4. Chapter number 4 was taken before chapter number 3 because in order to understand the concept of that is mole concept or the atomic mass number and all that, or atomic number, you have to be thorough with this chapter about what is the metal, non-metal, how they became an ion, cation, anion, and also you must know that what is the valency of an element. Then only you can understand the chapter number 3 very well. So in the previous class, I hope all of you remember, we had studied about the structure of atom and then what were the contributions of few scientists from that time. So we had studied about Goldstein in the year about 1886. He had conducted an experiment using the discharge tube where he had discovered about the canal rays. Canal rays are nothing but the positively charged particles, and later it was named as protons. Canal rays were, that is in the discharge tube, these were the rays which started emerging from the anode. Anode is nothing but the positively charged electrode of the discharge tube. And before that, J.J. Thomson also, he had discovered about the electrons which were negatively charged particle which had started from the cathode, that is a negatively charged electrode present in the discharge tube. And in the discharge tube, a inert gas was filled, and when electric discharge was passed through that, some rays, that is nice blue color rays, started emerging from the cathode, and those rays were named as electrons, and the charge of electrons were negative, so they are negatively charged particles, and the mass of electron is very, very small. It is negligible, or it is considered as zero. So later, that is when Goldstein, when he did the experiment, he had discovered the canal rays which are positively charged, but the mass of that was found to be around 2000 times more than that of the electrons. And later the canal rays were named as protons. So, and then J.J. Thomson also, he postulated, he gave the structure of an atom. Scientists were, they wanted to know what is the real structure of an atom. Earlier, that is John Dalton had said that is atom is not, it is indivisible, but later it was proved that with the discovery of subatomic particles as electrons and protons, that atom is divisible into subatomic particles. So more scientists, they started conducting experiment to see what is the actual structure of an atom. So J.J. Thomson had given a structure of atom, as I told you in the previous class, like a plum pudding model. That means the sphere, it is all made up of protons, and electrons were found to be present, distributed between the positively charged proton. This model is known as a plum pudding model, which was postulated by J.J. Thomson. Later, more studies was done on it, and then later a great chemist, Mr. Rutherford, he had conducted the experiment to find out, he wanted to know how the electrons are actually distributed, what is the actual structure of an atom, and how the electrons are moving around the proton, and what is the charge, mass and all that. So based on that, he conducted another experiment known as alpha particle scattering experiment. That is, alpha particles were made to fall onto the gold foil, and then how the alpha particles were scattered by the gold foil, that experiment was conducted by Rutherford, and which led to the discovery of the atomic nucleus. So let's study about that. Rutherford's experiment, what were the observations, inferences and conclusion, and what was the model of structure of an atom which was postulated by Rutherford. So let's concentrate on that now. So children, let's study another experiment which was carried out by Rutherford, and the main experiment he had conducted was to find out how electrons are distributed in an atom. And like how you have studied about J.J. Thomson's model, he had given a plum pudding model of an structure of an atom where positively charged sphere was present, and in the positively charged sphere, which is proton, the electrons were scattered in the positively charged sphere. That was the plum pudding model given by the Thomson regarding the structure of an atom. Rutherford, he conducted another experiment known as alpha particle scattering experiment, in which he had taken the following material. First, he had taken radium, which is an radioactive material. This was the source for producing alpha particles. Alpha particles are nothing but positively charged particles. Helium, it is made up of helium. Helium is an inert gas, and it is made up of 2 proton and 2 neutron. So when you add 2 proton and 2 neutron, the mass of helium atom will be 4 unit or 4 atomic mass unit. And the charge of helium atom, because it is made up of 2 proton, the charge of helium atom was plus 2. So it was doubly charged, having a mass of 4 unit. So radium was used for producing alpha particles, which is nothing but the positively charged particle. The next material which he had taken was a gold foil. Gold foil is very thin thickness of gold was taken, which was gold is the most malleable metal. So what happened? He had selected gold because he wanted a very thin layer of any metal for the experiment. And for that, the size of the gold foil was around 1000 atom thickness, or it was 1/1000th of a centimeter. That was the thickness of the gold foil. It is the most malleable metal. Because of that, gold was selected for this experiment. Then in this experiment, he saw that when the alpha particles were made to fall onto the gold foil, he observed 3 different kinds of rays which was emerging when it fell onto the gold foil. So when alpha particles travel straight and when it was made to fall onto the gold foil, 3 different kinds of rays were seen. He saw most of the rays travel straight. Out of this 1000 or something, most of the rays were traveling straight across, and it fell onto the screen. It was made to fall onto the screen, which is a fluorescent screen, which it is covered by zinc sulfide. And out of that, few of the second kind of rays, that is first kind of rays, he saw it traveled straight. Many rays was traveling straight. It went across that gold foil and fell onto the screen. And second kind, he saw that some rays were deflected by small angle. It was deflected, didn't travel straight, but it got deflected and it fell onto the, with some 40 degree or 30 degree or 45 degree angle, it got deflected. It was moving away from the straight line. And the third kind of rays, he saw that it was deflected to a very bigger angle. That was, it got deflected by some around 180 degrees Celsius degrees, or that it got deflected by around 360 degree. It bounced back. So 3 different kinds of rays were produced. Most of the rays traveled straight. Some of the rays deflected by a small angle, and very few out of that. Okay, rays, that is out of 1 or 12,000 and all, one or two rays, he saw it deflected back by a great angle. So based on that, he made certain observation. So let's see, I'm just taking, suppose this is a gold foil. Let's take 1 atom of the gold foil and see over here. So you can see that the ray number 1, which travels straight across the atom, this is a atom of a gold, single atom, you can take it, it's an enlarged view over here. This is the center of the atom, which is given over here. So when the positively charged field, that is alpha particles traveled here, that is away from the center of the atom, it travels straight. But it was when it near the center of the atom, some of the rays got deflected by small angle. This is the second kind of the rays which was deflected. Third, he saw that some of the rays, this is the third kind of rays, when it went and struck the middle, the center of the atom, straight when it traveled, it got bounced back by a bigger angle. So 3 different observations was made by him. So based on this, he drew some conclusion. He said that in an atom, so he was mainly studying the structure of an atom. So the main conclusion was, in an atom, most of the space of the atom was empty. Okay, that was the first conclusion. And then, as some of the positively charged near the center of the atom, it got deflected by the small angle, means that is the mass of the angle or the center of the angle, that is the mass of the atom is located in the center of an atom. So the center of the atom had some charge which made these positively charged alpha particles to deflect back. That means he came into conclusion that the center of the atom is nothing but it is also positively charged. So there is some charge present which is located in the center of the atom, and this was known as atomic nucleus. And the size of the nucleus was very, very small compared to the size of the atom. So it was around 10 raised to 5 times smaller than the actual structure of an atom. So with this alpha particle scattering experiment, Rutherford was able to draw the conclusion, and he gave the structure of the atom in this way. So that is, the electrons are found, that is revolving around the nucleus of an atom. So Rutherford's structure of an atom, we had seen the alpha particle scattering experiment of Rutherford, where he saw that when the atom, the gold foil, was struck by the positively charged alpha particles, the particles were scattered by 3 different kinds of rays. You can see most of the rays passed across the atom, some of the rays were deflected by small angle, and very, very few out of the rays got bounced back. So based on those, that alpha particle scattering experiment conducted by Rutherford, he gave the structure of an atom. So he made some conclusion. What will be the structure of an atom by Rutherford? So according to him, the first conclusion was that the center of an atom is made up of positively charged particle. The entire mass of an atom resides in the center of an atom, and the center of an atom is known as a nucleus. Then the second conclusion which he made was the electrons, which are negatively charged particles, revolve around the nucleus in an atom. So that was the second conclusion. So the third conclusion he said was, that is the center of the nucleus, that is, as the electrons they are revolving around it, what about the size of the nucleus? So he did some calculation, and he said that the size of the nucleus, that is the radius of the nucleus, was around 10 raised to 5 times less than the radius of the entire atom. That means the nucleus resides, it occupies a very, very small space in the center of an atom. So these were the 3 conclusions made by Rutherford based on his alpha particle scattering experiment. Next, let's see, but there were certain drawbacks in his experiment. What were the main drawbacks? So one of the main drawback was, it was found that electrons, when it revolves around the nucleus, positively charged center of the atom, that is nucleus, it tends to lose energy. When it loses energy, what happened? This electrons, it will be losing the energy, and it will go in a centrifugal force, and then finally it will fall into the nucleus. Thereby what happened? Making the atom highly unstable. But we know that atom is very, very stable. So this was the main drawback of Rutherford's structure of an atom. So based on that, there were certain modification done, and another scientist, that is by name Niels Bohr, his model of an atom, let us study about it. So he also did a lot of experiments, lot of studies to study what is the actual structure of an atom, and his main conclusion based on the structure of an atom, first he said that as long as electrons are revolving around the nucleus, it will not lose energy. And second main observation he said was, electrons are not orbiting, all the electrons are not revolving around the nucleus in a single orbit. The electrons revolve around the nucleus in an energy level. So when the electrons revolve around the nucleus in certain fixed orbits, so these fixed orbits are known as energy levels. So there are different energy levels which are present, and electrons are found revolving in it, and these energy levels, it revolves around the positively charged nucleus. So that was the observation given by Niels Bohr. So based on that, so when the electrons revolve around the orbit, it possesses certain kind of energy, and these orbits are nothing but they are known as the energy level, and the electrons are found in different energy levels, and it was named as, it was given by the letters K, L, M, N. The energy level which was found to be very near to the nucleus was number, that is where n is nothing but integer, that is a whole number. So this is the first energy level, second energy level, third energy level, and fourth. Or that is the first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, and fourth orbit. So the orbit which is very near to the nucleus, that is the first orbit, and this was given the letter as K, capital letter K. Alright, so when the electrons are found, they are found revolving around the nucleus. So they revolve around the nucleus in certain energy level. The first energy level with the less amount of energy is the K shell. The next energy level, that is n is equal to 2. The second energy level was named as L. So the capital letter K, then the second energy level was given the letter L, and the third was given as the number, that is a letter denoted by M, and finally and the fourth one was nothing but N, OP, like that. So this was the major difference between the structure of an atom as given by the Rutherford and suggested by the Niels Bohr. So he said that electrons revolve around the nucleus in certain energy levels, and these energy levels were numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., 5, 6, 7, and they are denoted by certain letters, capital letter, as K, L, M, N. So when the first energy level, that is N is equal to 1, that energy level was denoted by the letter K, the second energy level as L, the third energy level as M, and the fourth one as N. So this was the basic for the structure of an atom, and it was proved right for studying about the various reactions, or to understand what is a metal or a non-metal, and also to study the formation of ion and how the atom is participating in a chemical reaction. So this was the model of a structure of an atom which was given by Niels Bohr. Then after many years, that is based on the nucleus, on the structure of an atom, we know that the nucleus consists of positively charged particles known as protons, which is present occupies a very small area in the entire atom, and then the negatively charged electrons revolve around the nucleus in certain fixed orbits, and orbits they are known as energy levels. Then finally the mass of the atom, when it was calculated, so it was known that the entire mass of an atom resided in the center of an atom known as nucleus. But there was, when it was calculated, the calculation was found to be that electrons, since the mass of the electron is very, very small or negligible, the mass of an atom was not equal to that of the mass of a proton itself. So this led to the discovery of third subatomic particle of an atom, that is neutron. So neutrons also was found by Chadwick. Later, there is a third subatomic particle found in an atom, that is neutron, which is neutral. It carries no charge, but the mass is equal as that of the mass of the proton. So that led to the conclusion that the atom is made up of three subatomic particles, such as electrons, which are negatively charged but mass is 0, proton positively charged, the mass is 1 unit, and neutron, which is neutral, but it is also, the mass is equal to that of proton, that is 1 unit. So that is how the structure of an atom and the discovery of three subatomic units, that is particles present in an atom, was found out, that is proton, neutron and electron. So students, we are going to study about Rutherford's model of an atom, Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment, Rutherford's observation, Rutherford's conclusion about his experiment, his nuclear model of an atom, and what were the main drawbacks of Rutherford's model of the atom. And based on that, another model of an atom was given by a scientist known as Niels Bohr. So Niels Bohr's model of an atom, and in the end we are going to study about what are neutrons. Now, in Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment, this is his experimental setup. This is the main source of alpha particle. It is a radioactive material known as radium, which was used for the source of the alpha particles, that is helium atom, which contains 2 proton and 2 neutron of mass 4 unit. So radium was a source to produce alpha particles. Alpha particles are positively charged particles having a mass of 4 unit. That is, it has 2 proton and 2 neutron in its nucleus. That's the first part. Second, these alpha particles were made to fall on a metallic sheet which is made out of gold. Gold was selected for this purpose because it is the most malleable metal and it was made as very thin foil, about 1000 atoms thin. So this fast moving alpha particle, when it was made to strike on the gold foil, it was observed that there were many rays which passed straight through the gold foil. Okay, and this was a semicircular, that is the screen, fluorescent screen, which is coated by zinc sulfide. And every time the alpha particle, when it struck the gold foil, some of the particles went past straight through it and it was non-deflected particles. And out of that, some were deflected to a small extent. Here, like this, it was deflected, and that was calculated based on, that is, how many particles went straight and how many particles were scattered by the gold foil. And sometimes some particles, it was seen that it deflected more than 90 degrees. That means it went straight, and then when it struck the gold foil, it bounced back almost at 360 degrees. It bounced back. That was around very little number of alpha particles were bounced back to this, and some of the alpha particles, most of the alpha particles traveled straight through the gold foil. Okay, so based on this observation, Rutherford made certain observation and the conclusion about what the structure of an atom can be. So his main experiment was to find out what is the atom made up of, and then these alpha particles were positively charged, and then you can see that when it was not near the center of the atoms, what happened was most of the alpha particles, they passed through the gold foil and struck the fluorescent screen without being deflected. So based on this was the actual diagram which will be helpful for you to understand the alpha particle scattering experiment. So these are the alpha particle scattering experiment. These are nothing but helium atom which is positively charged, made up of 2 proton and 2 neutron. When you add that, it is 4 unit. Mass of helium atom is 4 unit. And the source for that was radium. And suppose this is one of the atom of the gold metal, so it could see that when the alpha particles were made to pass through the atom, many of the rays passed straight to the atom without being deflected, and it fell onto the fluorescent screen. But out of that many, few were seen to be deflected, that is here. As it near the center of the atom, few of the rays started deflecting. Okay, so some were deflected on to the right, some were deflected on to the left. And look at this third kind of rays. So when the alpha particles approached the center of the nucleus, what happened? Because of the charge present in this alpha particle, which was positively charged, bounced back. It didn't pass through the atom, but it bounced back. So once again, I'm telling you, there are 3 kinds of alpha particles which we can see from here. That is, the rays, 3 kind of rays you can see. The first kind of rays are this, and the rays which is shown on top, that is the rays which pass through the atom without being deflected, this side and this side. And second kind of rays were there which were not very near to the atom, but when approached almost near, it was deflected by small angle. This is represented by these 3 rays and represented by these 3 rays. So they didn't approach nearly the center of the atom, but almost to the center of the atom, they were deflected by a small angle. And this is the third kind of ray, that is when it approached the center of the atom, okay, so which is positively charged, this alpha particles, it just bounced back to 360 degree. So this is an enlarged view of one of the gold atom. This diagram represents many atoms joined together in a gold foil. So out of this diagram represents one of the atom of gold metal. Now this is, as you can see, same explanation I told you. That is, where this kind of rays, when it was almost near to the center of the atom, it deflected by a small deflection, small angle. This was not very near to the center of the atom, so it passed straight. Even this ray, it passed straight through the atom. It was not very near to the center of the atom. This kind of rays, again it deflected to a small angle. And look at this angle. when it approached it directly towards the center of the atom, that is, it turned back, it bounced back. So based on this, there was some conclusion made by Rutherford's alpha particle, that is scattering of alpha particle experiment on a gold foil. Now, this based on that, some questions. What is the Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment? In Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment, fast moving positively charged alpha particles that were helium were made to fall on a thin gold foil. Then, why did Rutherford select a gold foil? Rutherford selected gold foil because he wanted a very thin layer of metal for the experiment, and the gold foil was about 1000 atoms thin. And it was used because gold is the most malleable metal. That is why gold was used for this experiment. Now, what are alpha particles? Alpha particles are doubly charged. That is, it is helium ion containing 2 protons and 2 neutrons. They have a mass of charges of that is proton and neutron, and they have a mass of 4 units, so that the fast moving alpha particles have large amount of energy when it is passing and when it was made to strike onto the gold foil. Next, what were the observations made by Rutherford's alpha particle experiment? So what was the observation? There were 3 kinds of rays which we had seen. Most of the fast moving alpha particles passed straight to the gold foil. Some of the alpha particles were deflected by the foil by a small angle. Then 1 out of every 12,000 particles appeared to bounce back, or it rebound. That was the 3 kinds of observation which was made by Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment. Now, based on that observation, these are the main conclusions. Very, very important. Understand it very well. So, what were the conclusions from Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment? Most of the space inside the atom is empty because most of the alpha particles passed through the gold foil without getting deflected. Very few particles were deflected from their path, indicating that positive charge of the atom occupies very little space. A very small fraction of alpha particles were deflected by 180 degree, indicating that all positive charge and mass of the gold atom were concentrated in a very small volume within the atom. Now, this is again one more picture to represent the Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment. So, these are the alpha particles, these rays. Alpha particles are nothing but positively charged particles of helium atom. Then, this is the gold foil which was used. Okay, alpha particles were made to strike onto the gold foil. These are many atoms. It's a enlarged view. Most particles pass through. That is 1 out of 8,000 particles were deflected by more than 90 degrees. You can see that it does the deflection over here. So, and you can see some of the rays, it nearly bounced back. This which when it approached the center of the atom, so it bounced back. So, conclusion made by Rutherford was atom is made up of a small positively charged nucleus surrounded by electrons orbiting in a cloud. So, Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment led to the discovery of what? Atomic nucleus. That is, the atom has a nucleus in the center. Now, what is the radius of the nucleus? So, the radius of the nucleus was calculated by Rutherford as 10 to the power 5 times less than the radius of the atom. It is so tiny part which is occupied in an atom. Now, according to the observation, what is the Rutherford's nuclear model of an atom? There is positively charged center in an atom called nucleus. Okay, so how did this conclusion came? Because some of the rays which approached the center of the nucleus, some of the rays, alpha particles, which was also positively charged, which approached the nucleus, it has to be positively charged. That is why it bounced back. Okay, positive, it led to the bouncing back of the alpha particles. So, there is a positively charged center in an atom called nucleus. All the mass of an atom resides in the nucleus. The electrons revolve around the nucleus in a circular path, and the size of the nucleus is very small as compared to the size of the atom. So, according to the Rutherford's nuclear model of an atom, That is, there is a nucleus in the center of the atom, and around the nucleus the electrons revolve around it, and the mass of the atom resides in the nucleus of an atom. Now, but this model had some drawbacks. What were the major drawbacks of Rutherford's model of an atom? In the Rutherford's nuclear model, the revolving electrons would lose energy due to acceleration and finally fall into the nucleus, making the nucleus highly unstable. But this is not true. An atom is highly stable. So, when according to the Rutherford's model of an atom, when all the electrons are revolving around the nucleus, the electrons tend to lose energy and ultimately it will fall into the nucleus, making the nucleus highly unstable, which is not true. Nucleus is stable. So this was the main drawback of Rutherford's model of an atom. So next model of an atom was given by Bohr, that is Niels Bohr. So according to his Niels Bohr's model of an atom, what were the postulates? So Niels Bohr, instead of Rutherford's model of an atom, he just made a change in it. So what are the postulates of Niels Bohr's model of an atom? Electrons revolved around the nucleus in fixed orbits. So he brought a new concept, that is, electrons are revolving not in one orbit but in fixed orbits. As long as electrons revolve around the orbits, it neither loses or absorbs energy. So you can look at this diagram. So this is the center of the nuclear atom, that is a nucleus, and the electrons are revolving around the nucleus in a fixed orbit. Not in a one orbit, but they are revolving around the nucleus in a fixed orbit. Here you can see there are 3 orbits, 1, 2 and 3. So this was Niels Bohr's model of an atom. Next you can see, so according to him, that is, when energy is supplied to the atom and if an electron is there in the lower orbit, it absorbs the energy and moves to the orbit of higher energy level. So when the electrons revolve around the orbit, it has certain amount of energy. And when energy is supplied in the form of heat, light, catalyst or sound, this energy will be absorbed by the electron and it moves to the energy of orbit of higher energy. So when energy is supplied to an atom, an electron moves to an orbit of higher energy. And these orbits are called energy levels. And these orbits or energy levels are represented by the letter K, L, M. N, or the numbers, N means the number of shell. It can be 1, 2, 3 or 4. And the innermost shell, that is very close to the nucleus, is the orbit having lower energy. And as you move away from the nucleus, the energy of the orbit keeps on increasing. So this is the first orbit, N is equal to 1, that is K shell, K orbit. This is N is to 2, this is L, N is to 3 represents L. So like that, K, L, M, N. So that is a different energy level. So this is the Niels Bohr's model of an atom, where the center of the atom is a nucleus and surrounding the nucleus, electrons revolve around the nucleus in fixed orbit. And when energy is supplied to the electrons, electrons jump to the orbit of higher energy. So this is also another example to show the different orbits of in which electrons revolve. Next, what are neutrons? Neutrons, and who discovered it? Neutrons are subatomic particles present in the nucleus of an atom. They have no charge, but their mass is equal to that of protons. So the mass of neutron is taken as 1 unit. It is represented by the letter small n, and it was discovered by James Chadwick in the year 1932. So the third subatomic particle was discovered by James Chadwick through his experiment, when he came to know that mass of an atom is concentrated in the center of an atom, and that is known as nucleus. Okay. So next, what is the mass of an atom? Thus, the mass of an atom is calculated as the sum of masses of protons and neutrons present in the nucleus of an atom. The total number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus of an atom is collectively called nucleons. So how can you calculate atomic mass of an atom, of an element? Atomic mass is equal to number of protons plus number of neutrons. Now we saw that in the alpha particle gold particle scattering experiment, we have seen that we had used helium. Rutherford had used helium. So what is the mass? How can you calculate the mass of helium, or how can you calculate the number of protons or neutrons in a helium? So helium has an atomic mass of 4 units and 2 protons in its nucleus. How many neutrons does it have? How can you calculate it? So you know that atomic mass is equal to nothing but number of protons plus number of neutrons. So atomic mass, based on that formula, we can use the number of neutrons in the nucleus of an atom is therefore number of neutrons is equal to atomic mass minus number of proton. So atomic mass, what is given? 4 units. So subtract 2 protons and you'll get number of neutrons is 2 neutron. And when you add proton and neutron, you'll get the atomic mass. Very, very simple calculation. So atomic mass or mass of an atom is nothing but number of protons and neutrons. So if you know the atomic mass and if you know the number of protons, you can easily calculate neutron. Or if you know the atomic mass and if you know how many neutrons are present, you can calculate easily how many protons are present in the nucleus of an atom. So finally, what are the subatomic particles of an atom? The subatomic particles of an atom are electrons, protons and neutrons. Electrons are negatively charged, protons are positively charged and neutrons have no charges. The mass of electron is negligible, means very, very less. So it is taken as 0. Mass of proton and neutron is 1 unit each. So this can be given in the form of a table. Proton is represented by small letter p, neutron is represented by small letter n, and electron is represented by small letter e. So what is the charge of the proton? Charge of the proton is plus 1, positively positive 1 charge, and the mass is 1 unit. Neutron, the charge is neutral, it doesn't carry any charge. The unit of neutron is same as that of proton, so it is 1 unit, or it is known as 1 atomic mass unit, AMU. Electron is, the charge of electron is negative, so it is minus 1, but the mass of electron is negligible, so it is taken as 0. Next. So this is the structure of an atom which was given. So you can see this is the nucleus of an atom. It is made up of protons and neutron. The blue color represents the proton, which is positively charged. The yellow color represents the neutron, which is neutral, no charge. And the electrons revolve around the nucleus in fixed orbit. This structure was given by Niels Bohr. And this red color is nothing but electrons which are negatively charged. So all of you should draw this neatly and use different colors to represent the 3 different subatomic particles, that are proton, neutrons and electron. So this is only the diagrammatic view when we are drawing the notebook. Actually this is the path of the electron around the nucleus. You must have seen this diagram in your chemistry textbook or somewhere. So this is actually the path in which the electrons move around the nucleus. So most of the space around the in an atom is empty, because at any time electron just keeps revolving around the nucleus, and this is the center of the nucleus, which is positively charged, okay, which is made up of proton and neutron, and electrons revolve around the nucleus. Now you can see this. Based on that, as I told you in the last class, there are elements. That is 118 elements. Elements can be classified as metals, non-metals, metalloids and noble gases. So, and each element is represented by its atomic number and mass number. So, the elements are arranged in this table according to increasing order of atomic number. So, the first element is hydrogen. The second element is helium. So, you have to go like this horizontally. So, this is first period. So in the first period there is hydrogen and helium. Next you have the atomic number 3, that is lithium. Then you have beryllium, then boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. Next sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon. And next in the fourth period you can see potassium and calcium. So I want you to learn these elements according to this order, that is from atomic number 1 to atomic number 18 in the proper order, and be prepared for the next class. So we are going to learn how to draw the atomic structure of all these elements based on the atomic number given and also the mass given, how to calculate the number of electrons, number of protons and number of neutrons. Very, very interesting topic with very nice diagrams which we are going to do in the next class. So I want you to learn all the elements, that is from atomic number 1 to atomic number 18. in the proper order. So I'll just repeat it. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, Be. Learn the symbol properly. Hydrogen is given as H, helium is He, lithium Li, beryllium Be, boron B, carbon C, nitrogen N, oxygen O, fluorine F, neon Ne, sodium Na, magnesium Mg, aluminium Al, silicon Si, phosphorus P, sulfur S, chlorine Cl, and argon is Ar. And here I want you to concentrate on this fact that when you write the symbol, the first letter will be capital and the second letter is always small letter. Some elements will have only one letter for the symbol, whereas some other elements, they have two letters in the symbol. So when you write the second letter, that is the elements, when they have two letters in the symbol, the second letter should be always in small letter. So learn properly in the same order from atomic number 1 to atomic number 18 and be prepared for the next class, where we are going to learn how to draw the structure of an atom of an element. Now this worksheet, I want you to learn it, write it in your notebook, go through the video and read the textbook, and then write the worksheet and complete it. Alright. So this is a note for you. Write the notes neatly. Read the chapter 4 in your textbook, that is pages from 46 to 49. Learn the names of first 20 or first 18 elements and the symbol from the periodic table, which I have given here, or you can refer to your textbook on page number 4.1 in the proper order. Learn the given notes well and prepare well for the oral test. Thank you, children. Hope you have understood this much. Read the textbook and learn well.